So we went from nothing to forefront. It took us less than 6 months to get that partnership. Whereas we show up and all these people are looking at us like, how did you get that partnership? I mean, I've been trying to do it for a decade. It's because you're not focused, you're not clear, right? You have to be in their face, in their place, in their space. So they go from, I've never heard of you before, to, oh yeah, I think I've heard of them, to, oh yeah, I know who they are, to, we work together. And it's a completely different paradigm shift. If you know, it's those bigger, better buyers that, Dave, just getting buy-in with Dave and his whole team turns into so many more opportunities. So I treat that relationship very differently.
Here is your daily dose of the Ultimate Sales Machine coming to you from the new edition. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com to get your copy or multiple copies. I am your host, Amanda Holmes, CEO of Chet Holmes International. What you're about to learn has assisted 250,000 businesses to generate billions of dollars, working faster, better, smarter.
I remember you almost exactly a year ago telling me that you had found your people, you had found your vertical, you fell in love with this space of biohacking. And now you call me and you're like, I'm about to have the biggest partnership with the biggest name in biohacking. It's on. So I would love to just kind of deconstruct, first of all, what is this partnership that you're doing with who? What's it about? And then I want to just figure out how you were able to like achieve this so quickly, because you had like no traction in this space a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Pablo. That's such a great way to enter the space. Yes. I mentioned in prior podcasts that we just launched the Business of Biohacking Summit with Dave Asprey. So some people know bulletproof coffee, you put butter in your coffee and it's wonderful. And it was this huge craze. And so Dave Asprey created that, launched it. Was like 4-time best-selling author, has 1 million followers around the globe talking about biohacking. He is also part owner in dozens of companies because he's really the father of this space, biohacking. He invented the name biohacking, which is really just people that want to hack their lives so that they can live longer and healthier. And he always jokes about how he wants to live to 180. Actually, I don't think that that's a joke. I think he's pretty serious about it.
So, to me, I feel like this partnership that you're doing, the people that you're going to end up working with are going to know who Dave Asprey is. The people that don't realize this, just to like give you credit, you have essentially connected with the front and center face of the Mount Rushmore of an industry that you are fascinated in a very short amount of time, to build really deep value for him, enough that he essentially is going to vouch for you to help his companies grow. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you did this eating your own dog food.
Yes, we did it practicing what we preach, which was really, really awesome. We don't just talk the talk, we're walking on our walk.
Okay. So then take me back to a year ago. I think the aha moment happened a year ago where you did this plan of how you executed this. Would you say that you were working on making this happen before you got to that conference, or has it been from like the moment you left that conference on? Talk to me about kind of when this idea of going hard at biohacking and breaking into the space at this level started.
Okay, so we teach the Dream 100, as you know, right? The fastest, least expensive way to double sales. It's focusing on a few that can produce much greater volume than spray and pray. So right before, we found out 2 months before the Biohacking Conference last year, and we went, oh my gosh, this is great because I'm so passionate about health and healing and longevity, and I want to heal healthcare because of what I experienced from watching my father go through the system. And when we found this biohacking conference, we realized that they did all the hard work to identify who the bleeding edge of science and health companies are. So we didn't have to go and do all that research. They were all right there. There were 120 sponsors. So we focused on just 80 of them, and we led a Dream 80, where we reached out to those 80 companies. First, we found them on social media. Then we sent them a Facebook invite, a LinkedIn message, a Twitter message, an Instagram message. We called them, we cold emailed them, we sent them a direct mail piece. So we had about, in total, I think it was about 8 different touches before we entered into that conference. So we went from them not knowing us at all to, oh yeah, I think I know Ultimate Sales Machine, to, oh, Troy and Amanda are here. We're so happy to see you, because we led with value. So instead of getting just 3% to book an appointment with us, we got 68% to book an appointment with us, which was just right? Shocking for any people that do it cold outbound.
That's shocking, right? Like 68% of your target market that you're trying to connect with books an appointment with you, right?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've been trying, I tried to do something exactly like this like 2 months ago, failed miserably, right? So like but I thought, listen, because I want to get into the details of why this works so well when
Mhm.
somebody who knows that's doing it is doing it, right? I was booked into a keynote speech for the biggest property management conference in America. That was my biggest speaking opportunity. I thought the same thing. Oh, okay. If I want to make this a vertical, everybody exhibiting at the show is somebody I want to meet. So my thing was like, well, I made a bunch of like cool content and I ran LinkedIn ads to them. And then when I walked the floor, nobody knew who I was. Right. So I would love to know more on how you broke down this idea of every social media channel. Were you targeting people or were you targeting just like the channel at all?
Yep. So we first started with the CEOs, and depending on the size, that was either the decision maker or not the decision maker, actually, because you have billion-dollar clients and then you had like startups. There was quite a range. But what was key for us was our stadium pitch.
Mm,
So instead of walking up and saying, "Hey, we'd love to talk to you about your marketing or your sales approach," we said, "Hey, we know that you're exhibiting in this event. And we have a trade show regrets survey that we did where we compiled thousands of answers to say the 6 most costly mistakes the sponsors make at trade show booths that waste their hard-earned investment. We'd love to show that to you. Would you like to have that?" That was a huge part for them to go, "Oh my God." And not only did the CEO say yes, they'd say, "Well, can you also send that report to my head of marketing? Here's their email. And we have 3 more people that are going to show up at the booth. Can you make sure that you send it to them too?" And they just started sending our material or sending
mm,
to us all of the decision makers in that process.
mm.
So it started to get this like momentum coming where everybody started to know us. And it was very personalized. It was super personalized, right? We're cold calling, we're direct mailing, they see us on the different Instagrams, we're tagging them in posts. So it just created this buzz, which did take 4 different people to execute, right? One person on social media interacting, one person that was a salesperson cold calling, another admin that was doing the direct mail piece. I would call it an advanced version of Dream 100. I joke about there's like the poor man's Dream 100 and then there's the advanced Dream 100. We really pulled out all the stops there.
Yeah. And then there's the like foreigner from another land and poor there, 3-100, which is what I try to do. Um, so, okay, cool. Yeah.
One more important thing, while we were doing this, we kept noticing, oh, Dave Asprey is supposedly the owner of this company and this company and this company and this company.
Mm,
And it was like, wow, there are like dozens of these companies that Dave is part owner in. Maybe we should focus on him. That would be the ultimate, like creme de la creme. Like, if we could get him, you get so many more. So during that process is when we identified him. But it was hard to get his attention, right? He's the main guy of the event. So now we're reaching out to his head of communications and his head of PR, and we're trying to like circle the dragon to find how do we get to Dave? It was very hard
yeah.
to get to Dave.
A couple things that rings out to me there. Number one is the idea, first of all, directionally correct. If you want to get known in a space, in a vertical, finding the watering hole of that vertical and going at that is like the opportunity in the Dream 100 to like identify your Dream 80, 20, or 100,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. Right. So
Yeah.
you did that well. And then the same way you figured the way that you're getting leverage by going at like the most concentrated point, you did that per company. You went first at the CEO
Yeah.
across the different social media channels to his personal or her personal social media channel. You had somebody researching that on social media. You had somebody researching the emails. You had somebody researching the mailing addresses. So that was the second leverage point. And then the third leverage point was you were not reaching out to them from a standpoint of, hey, you're going to be at this trade show. I'm going to be at this trade show. Let's be friends. You're reaching out as like, hey, you've got something coming up that has a potential weakness. I know some advice I can give you. Let me give you that. That's essentially the core story framework that you teach people that you do really, really well. And then the fourth thing is like, once you're doing that, you started finding another even higher up leverage point, which is this Dave Asprey character who ended up being like the holding company for all these other holding companies. And he's the CEO of that, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you did that. You got the pitch together. when you are reaching out via social and mail, like how does the pitch change when it's like a social message versus a direct mail piece that still has to do with the stadium pitch?
Yeah, that's the power of a stadium pitch, right? When you get very clear on it, then all the different mediums can be so much easier. So the call to action was the same amidst all of them. Hey, we had this education. We'd love to give it to you. Either you call or you email. So each different medium had a different way of getting that education, but all of them led with that education.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you did all that before the show.
Yeah.
You're trying to circle Dave Asprey before the show. Did you get to Dave before the show?
Accidentally, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I want to say that because we only targeted 80 of them, it was very cheap, right? It was like under $1,000 to do all of this targeting and reaching out to them. It was more horsepower, as my father used to say, horsepower, not wallet power. The thing that was most expensive was paying for VIP tickets for me and Troy, right? But then because we're getting so hyper focused on where we're going, who we're reaching out to, letting people know on social that we're going to an event, we found out like 4 days beforehand that this private mastermind was happening before Biohacking Conference and that Dave would be there. And we happened to know the gentleman, Chris Ryan. So we signed up to go to that event. And that's where we actually met Dave accidentally, but because we were in the right place, right? We're in the right place, saying the right things, getting to the right people repetitively in their face, in their place, in their space. So that opportunity came up, we snagged it, and that's where Troy got his cell phone number, which was critical to this whole thing working.
Okay. Okay. All right. So one could call that lucky, or you could say you did everything in order to put yourself in the way of luck, right? Like you spread the surface area of luck. You opened up that by surrounding Dave in every way that you could, which led to the right outcome, right?
Right. So we set it up so that by the time we actually met with him, it's like, oh, did you hear that we've been talking with Sue in your office? Oh, no. Oh, did you get my mail piece that I sent to your office in Oregon? Oh, no, I didn't. Right. All of these things made it feel like, oh, we're in your periphery. We've been here for a while. We know all the players when it had been a very short period of time.
So now you're there. Were you speaking at this conference, Amanda, or were you just an attendee?
I was not speaking,
Okay.
and it was the first time I paid for a ticket to an event in a while. Normally, I'm paid to go to an event.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to like eat humble pie there, showing up. Okay, I'm going to pay my way. I'm going to hustle whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I had Bessie, my human billboard. So I was walking around with a 4-foot sign on my back that said, "You want to double sales? Talk to me."
I think that's another increasing the surface area of luck, right? Like there isn't a lot of people. Like I think there's a very specific kind of person that's willing to, number one, put on a backpack that is a human billboard, and two, wear it.
Yes.
And
Especially since I know that like every conference I go to with that thing, I mostly get shut down. Like they shut me down because it's too effective, right? They're like, "What are you doing here?" All the other sponsors are jealous because you're hogging all the leads.
Yeah.
So I had to be selective about walking through with it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. By doing all the legwork, right, you not only increase the surface area of luck for a chance meeting, but even before that, you increase the surface area of luck of finding the most leveraged person and getting to the event, right? Just knowing where to be and when, I think is a big, big part of the equation. And that's not always obvious.
Well, I think that people stumble upon it accidentally. So the whole gift of Dream 100 is identifying who those dream clients are and then going after them with pig-headed discipline and determination, right? We think about there's some people that we met. Fast forward to this year, we show up at the conference and everywhere you look, there's pictures of Dave, Troy, and myself with Business of Biohacking Summit. So we went from nobody knowing us at all to this one. Now 5,000 people have seen our face. They see we had a booth there. We had 2 booths there. We were just everywhere. So we went from nothing to forefront. It took us less than 6 months to get that partnership. Whereas we show up and all these people are looking at us like, how did you get that partnership? I mean, I've been trying to do it for a decade. It's because you're not focused, you're not clear, right? You have to be in their face, in their place, in their space. So they go from, "I've never heard of you before," to, "Oh yeah, I think I've heard of them," to, "Oh yeah, I know who they are," to, "We work together." And it's a completely different paradigm shift. If you know, it's those bigger, better buyers that, Dave, just getting buy-in with Dave and his whole team turns into so many more opportunities. So I treat that relationship very differently.
Yeah. So now that was the timeline pre-event, right? Like you dream 100 the heck out of that event. You got to the number one leverage point, the number one kind of like relationship that you can need that can blow up your business. You meet them. You have a great salesperson that knows how to extract a cell phone number. And then talk to me about from the event till the next kind of inflection point. Talk me through that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is another interesting one because 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact, and yet 90% of sales reps give up after 3 touches. So we had followed up in so many different ways on social, but it's hard because he has 1 million followers, via email. Troy just continued texting him over and over again until we finally got that in, right? It's part luck, it's part just being in the right place in the right time. So you just show up to the right place over and over and over again until it becomes the right time. So we happened to be in Austin for another client meeting at the same time that he happened to be in Austin. And Troy was texting with him and said, "Oh, are you doing anything tonight?" Turned out he was going to sushi, and we got an invite to go to dinner with him and a friend of his, Rachel Vargas. So we spent 4 hours. I mean, 99% of it was just shooting the shiitake and having a great time, and him making fun of me for being vegetarian. So many hits for being vegetarian. But we had a blast. And then at one moment, we're sitting at dinner, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm really thinking that we're going to do a business mastery for biohacking." And for those that don't know, right, my father started business mastery with Tony because when Tony wanted to go from life coaching to business coaching, he needed the intellectual property and the training on how to do that. And that's what Ultimate Sales Machine was. That's what my father did. So we were the back end to that for so many years. I heard him say that, and just like a guttural out of me, I went, "You need me." And I'm normally not that intense, aggressive. But while I'd walked the floor of Biohacking Conference, all that kept repeating in my head is, "We need a business mastery for biohacking. We need a business mastery for biohacking." Like I couldn't get it out of my brain. So when I heard it come out of his voice at dinner, I couldn't help but say, "You need me. Here's all the reasons why I have innovated this over the last decade. So we have exactly what you need to make that conference a huge success. And it's right in alignment with my core values and my mission to help heal healthcare." So he was like, "Oh, interesting. Well, we should talk about it." And then we didn't say anything else. And the rest of the time, it was just building a great relationship.
Yeah.
And the next day, he actually followed up with me. I didn't follow up with him purposefully because I knew that everyone hounds him and I wasn't going to hound him. So there was this like balance of playing the game just a little bit. And he reached out to me. We got on a call with his team, and the rest is signed, sealed, delivered.
So there's 2 things that I'm curious about out of that part of the story. One is when you say that you started just kind of like following up, right? Like the pig-headed discipline and determination of the follow-up, including text messages.
Yeah.
At that point, were you still following up with core story, or were you following up with, "So we met, we're cool," right? Like what's the balance there?
We did both. So it was part like, "Hey, we saw these sponsors. We'd love to show you what we found worked and didn't work. We're doing a group call. How many of you would like to join?" He was invited to that. His team was invited to that. Some people showed up. They didn't show up. We sprinkled a little bit more of like, "Oh, here's what we saw from one of the booths, which we thought was really great feedback. Thought you should know," right? Just kind of showing that we're in the know. We're seeing things that are working. We're part of the trends. Still living that concept of core story, but not perpetually hounding the stadium pitch title per se, just living that content while also just being personal. So this blend of personal plus we know what's going on.
Yeah, I would assume that knowing a little bit about core story and knowing how core story starts with this like global pain and then localizes it and then sets a buyer criteria, core story by itself gives you multiple things to follow up with, right? Because if you're setting a buyer criteria of like the 5 things that you need to know in order to succeed, each one of those things, every time there's a headline about that or something that pings like that, or something reminds you of that, that reminds you of that person, is like, it's like an open door to like, oh, time to text Dave about, I saw this, right?
Yeah. 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 I do think that you bring up a really good point, and I've been working on this intersection because I teach a lot about, like, I was just in Jamaica training a financial services sales team how to
Mhm.
social sell. And you've
Mhm.
seen some of my stuff on that, right? It's not
I
really like, it's not social posting, it's social listening.
Mhm.
So there is this blend that happens today that my father couldn't talk about because he was just cold calling his prospects. Today, there is so much fodder online to very quickly see, oh, they're talking about this. I can tie that into what I'm talking about. Or, oh, I saw this really funny meme. I can send that over to them.
Mhm.
So there is a blend between core story, all the data and the market and the trends that you know about. And then there's also, what are they already having dialogues about that you can interweave the two. So
You're
yes.
almost, it's almost like newsjacking, but it's a personal newsjacking, right? Like you're in these people's stories and you're in their social media, so you know what's important to them because of course story, you know where your journey and their journey intersect, so that
Yeah.
you can be out there in the ecosystem thinking, when I see something that's important to them, I can send it to them, and when I see something that is important to me that relates to them based on the core story, I can send them that too. And that gives you multiple layers of like relationship building that you're able to do once you've implemented this and what you've connected, correct?
Yes. And also it helps, like I had my core story in my back pocket around wellness. So it was very easy for me to talk about what's going on with trends.
Sure.
Once we started working together, the team was very easy to say, okay, let's talk about the Business of Biohacking Summit. What are all the features and benefits? And I went, no, 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 no. If I'm going to be teaching the people that come to this summit, I need to be practicing what we're preaching at the event to market the event. And they went, huh, how interesting. Like, what does that look like? So our handout, instead of just saying Business of Biohacking Summit, you'll get to pitch in a room full of investors. You'll get to meet Dave Asprey in a fraction of the room. Instead, we led with attention biohacking businesses. We're in a crisis, a health crisis, and a drop data, 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 right? So I led the whole marketing effort using core story for biohacking businesses so that when I get on stage in September, I'm showing them this is how we marketed to you. This is how you can bridge the gap in your business. So I'm just trying to be a product of the product everywhere in every way.
You're so good at that. So, well, that kind of leads me. I don't know if this was where my second question was going, which I think you're kind of answering. And it's this idea that when we go back to that first event, you went in, you landed, you hooked, you put a hook into the whale, right? But that doesn't mean that you stopped actually also still following up with all of the fishes and the rest of the ecosystem around it, right? You continue doing that, surrounding him and inviting his companies to your events and to the things that you're doing continuously as well, right?
Yes, and I do have to say that there were many moments amidst this process where it felt like, wow, we did get some wins, but what are we really getting out of this? Like there was month 3 after the event where we looked around and went, man, we haven't closed as much as we thought we would. What's going on here? And then it wasn't until month 4 that we got that appointment, and then month 5 we actually landed that contract. So it's amazing how many people, when they get lost in who their actual ideal client is, and they just end up going after the wrong people or people that aren't generating them a profit. And we have to do exercises on like who is not your ideal client. Like I was at another client's where we realized that 56% of the sales team's efforts were only generating 3% of their revenue. Half of their activities were only generating 3%. So the whole process of identifying your Dream 100 is also, who do you not want to work with?
Yeah.
So when you're clear on that, it makes it easier, but it takes time to win those people, right? But if you
Yeah.
just keep following up and it's like, no, 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 we're told it's at least 15 different touches to get there. You just keep doing it, right? It's like, I will do this until I die. Like I will find a way. And even now that I'm in the door, I tell them, our contract ended up being for one event. And I went, that's great that we're doing one event, but I'm here for the next decade. I want to see the 400% growth in the next 8 years that biohacking is said to make. I want to be a substantial part of that. And I will prove to you every step of the way that you'll want to be with me for the next decade. And I am showing up like an all-star with his entire team. Same with Troy. We're going above and beyond because we understand this is a dream engagement. And with dream engagements, you treat them differently than the one-off,
Yeah. It gives me like a baseball visual of like you're sitting at the plate, you're standing at the plate, you're swinging and you're hitting a whole bunch of foul balls. And maybe you're getting a couple runners on base. And if you're not super committed to it and you're not super clear on the game that you want to win, you might say, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go play soccer because I'm not scoring here. Whereas like
Yeah.
if you stay there and you still keep putting people on base and keep making contact, eventually you hit a home run and you get everybody home, which sounds like is what you did with this. When you were walking the floor the first year thinking, this needs a business mastery. Biohacking needs a business mastery. What were you seeing at this biohacking conference that made you say to yourself that it needed a business mastery?
Well, I guess since I'm so passionate about health and watching every single booth have something you walk this conference, it's the most exciting conference you've ever seen. Like every single booth is the craziest inventions that you've never heard of before, like a shirt that will help reduce pain in the body if you just wear it. Like the threading is fancy. It's called intelligent threads. You have these tests that you can do which tell your genetic makeup of what's going on in your body. So you follow all these gurus online that tell you how to eat right, but maybe in your genetic makeup ginger is a bad thing or potatoes are a bad thing, and you wouldn't know unless you got genetically tested. The personalization of medicine has made quantum leaps, and yet our society is living in this old paradigm. But we have these brilliant inventions that have been made, but they're made by scientists and engineers and doctors, and they don't know how to market. They're scientists, they're doctors, right? So I'm seeing these people that have brilliant ideas, and there's this gap between letting the market know and speaking to them in a way that the market can understand them. Because I would go booth to booth and look at them and go, I have no idea what that thing is or what it does, but it looks fancy. And you start talking to them and they still don't really know how to articulate it, all the people in the booth, and you're kind of just jumping around to find somebody that understands what they're talking about. And I'm thinking, wow, if only these people knew a stadium pitch, if only they understood Dream 100, like we could scale these companies so much quicker if they just had a framework that they could follow that's been proven. So yeah, that's what made me super passionate. I saw such a need for.
As a business owner myself, it's such a relatable feeling. It's like, hey, so what is it that you do? And you're like, oh, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this. And you vomit all over people, all these different things that you're like in love with your product, but you're not speaking to them in their language. You're not simplifying. You're not talking to them like a fifth grader of just like, well, you know how you have a problem with this? Yeah, I got a problem with that. Well, that's because of this. And in order to solve that, you need a solution like this. And I have this product, right? Like that core story. And then the idea of, so that makes every communication that you have way easier, that you can apply to your booth, that you can apply to your mail, that you can apply to your social media. And then on top of that, just the zeroing in on the area right by the bullseye so that you're only having those conversations with the people that are really, really going to move the needle for you, to me is like the ultimate dream for a business owner.
Yes, and like all of these booths are there assisting the 5,000 people that are showing up to this conference, but what they're missing is the opportunities between the booths. Your biggest referral partner is 3 booths down, but because you're only focused on consumers, you haven't even thought of the strategic partnerships or the joint ventures that could be created. So that's a huge part of Business of Biohacking Summit too, is I am facilitating, explaining the Dream 100 and going, okay, guys, now that you're here in this room, let's find a way, whether you're making those relationships in this room or you know somebody that can make that relationship, and we'll get further faster if we work together. So yeah, businessofbiohacking.com is where people can sign up and apply for those that are actually interested. And yeah, that want to be an investor, that have that kind of business, that want to grow, want to be in that room full of the top tier.
It's interesting, Amanda, because you and I are super very same wavelength. And what I've been very deep into, it's very clear to me that the space that fascinates me the most is the SaaS B2B tech space. And this idea of partnerships as the next big lever of growth, right? In a world where we're getting more and more advertisements and bombarded, right? Like I think I got that stat from you. The amount of advertisements we're getting,
Insane.
even cutting through that noise is hard enough. The new kind of like data, the new oil is trust. It's like the warm intro, and how you set up these partner ecosystems is like the new big topic in that world. And Main Street business is so far behind it, right? So like, I'm sure the engineer that has this like awesome shirt that's going to cure, help me sleep better at night or whatever,
Yeah.
like that, like they're so far behind that. So you kept this ecosystem. Now you have executed this strategy for a full year. It did what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to hit grand slams. It hit a grand slam. You continue executing it to the folks inside of that you now are going to serve. So now they see you a second time, and they've seen how you went from like, oh, I knew these people, to like, whoa, all of a sudden you're everywhere and you own the space. And tell me kind of like the experience this second year and what's coming next.
It actually offended some people.
I bet.
They
I
were
bet.
like, I have known Dave for a very long time. How did you supersede me and do all of this? Like everybody kind of looked like you came out of nowhere. It's like, no, no, no. We were very strategic. We, in their face, in their place, in their space. We identified, we came in with great messaging. We got all the point of contacts to make it just seem like we were everywhere. Well, yeah, we were everywhere to like 80 people. But yeah, so the future of that, so this is just the beginning. That's why I'm so thrilled. I again walked the floor with Bessie, and I put her into my contract that I would not do this whole event and I wouldn't speak at Biohacking Conference unless they allowed me to have my human billboard, which it didn't say human billboard, it just said Bessie. Allow me to bring Bessie to Biohacking Conference, which was pretty
I'm sure they were surprised you didn't bring your pet cow.
I know. Nobody was really looking at that, I think.
Yeah.
But when they saw it, they loved it. They thought it was hysterical. Because
Yeah.
now I'm promoting business of biohacking with something that's very, very noticeable. But yeah, I mean, it's only the beginning, right? So now they're aware of us. They see that we're partnered with the biggest person in the space, and they're excited to learn more. So now it's just the proof's in the pudding, right? Show up to the event and let me show you how you can 9x your leads with the same moves you're already making. Let's create strategic partnerships every year so that we can double in size with the least amount of effort. Like I'm in it for the long haul. I'm here to see that growth for those businesses.
Let's pretend we're releasing this conversation to the public, and I am a biohacking company that's listening to you speak. And let's say I have something that's going to cure sleep apnea without having to wear a mask. And I say, that's cool for you, Amanda, because you went into like the watering hole of biohacking and got to the chief person in biohacking, and now you're known. I'm already in the watering hole of biohacking. There is no sleep apnea, Dave Asprey, right? Like Dave Asprey. How would it apply to me?
Yeah. So my father taught that mastery isn't about 4,000 different things. It's about doing 12 things 4,000 times. Today, I'm even saying it's not 12, it's just 4. What are 4 steps that we can follow that we can double our sales while cutting our stress in half? Because there's too many marketing mediums today. It's an average, it was 7 different marketing mediums 15 years ago. Today, it's 21 different marketing mediums. We are bombarded and we're not finding the ROI, right? Because we're investing in all these different places and everybody's telling us to go this way or go that way, but it's not following a very simple framework. So there's just 4 steps in this framework that 90% of companies miss. It's very simple, and yet we miss it because we're inundated with all the information online. So the first step is goals. 51% of small to medium-sized businesses do not have a goal. How do you know how you're going to grow if you don't have a goal? Then once you have the goal and you're clear on it and everybody knows what the goal is, who do you need to work with to get to that goal the fastest? What do you need to say to get in the door? And where do you need to say it to get there with the highest ROI possible? So those 4 steps is what we're going to cover in 2.5 days. So you walk out with a plan. You don't walk in and you're just hearing people talk all day. You're not going to hear a ton of different speakers because it gets overwhelming and then you leave more overwhelmed than you were when you got there. So it's all about workshopping. It's all about putting this idea of a framework that's assisted companies to generate over 52 billion in sales and putting it to work in your business. So you walk out with a plan. You walk out with better strategic relationships than you've ever had, right? Because everybody in the room, it's invite only. We're only accepting those that can really make a difference to the industry because that's where we're focused. So 4-part framework on how to double your sales while cutting your stress in half, the relationships, Dave Asprey and all his closest friends.
Sounds pretty awesome. Once I leave that thing, what am I doing?
At the moment, we just have an annual event. That's what's
Okay.
it's going to be at the moment.
Okay. Anything else?
If anybody just says, oh my God, where do I sign up to apply? Businessofbiohacking.com.
Okay. All right.
I think
Okay.
everyone should know that this is Pablo Gonzalez. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, are we really releasing this? I didn't even
Oh,
know.
yeah, totally.
All right, cool. Sweet. All right. Yeah.
So
Pablo
then,
Gonzalez. All right.
so then where do people find Pablo? Because he's such a brilliant curator of information.
My company's called Be the Stage at bethestage.live. You can connect with me on any social medium that I'm connected to Amanda with, because finding Pablo Gonzalez with a Z at the end is like finding John Smith. So that's kind of tough. So you can go to bethestage.live and connect with me there. And, we specialize in doing some of these trade show executions where you are activating the space by co-creating content with these partnerships that Amanda is trying to set you up with. And once you have that core story, once you have that goal, and that Dream 100, we're able to draw them in with the lure of free content creation and marketing materials that you then get to build a relationship off of these people with and access to their network because you show up on their stuff. So happy to help with that.
I have to say that I've seen Pablo in action on this, and it's utterly brilliant. So everyone else is in their booths talking about whatever they sell, and Pablo comes in and has a portion of that booth be a podcast where he's just bringing in as many people as possible to do interviews, and then they produce that content afterwards. So it's such a great way. You have all the most important people right there. Why not capture that content? That's actually how I launched this podcast. Was I did the same thing. I went to Funnel Hacking Live. I showed up with a videographer and I went, there's a lot of big names here. Maybe I'll just like record things and launch a podcast. And I launched a podcast after 2 days of recording content with the biggest names in the space. And I went from nothing to everybody knowing who I was because I interviewed all the biggest people and then tagged them on social when I released it. And it was like, for me, because I didn't have the strength of your back end content. I mean, you guys flipped that content so fast. It's amazing and it's quality. For me, it took me like, I don't know, 3 months to launch all of the content that we had recorded in those 2 days. But you guys do it real time, tag them, make them feel heard and understood. And it's just such an extra value add. I just love what you guys do.
Well, thanks, Amanda. It was good enough for you to like put my name in your book, which I've told everybody I know about. And it was all, what's funny is you and I met through our mutual friend, Jerry, but I felt like we really connected through doing one of these things, right? Like I was doing this for a client and you and I were able to create a long-term partnership through content co-creation that way. And that's why I think we have had such staying power in each other's lives. So it's pretty meta, the whole idea of one relationship can change your life. So if you're targeting the right relationships, go after it with a very, very specific strategy that's worked to create so much wealth for everybody else. And a very easy way to activate that relationship is by creating a content co-creation plan, which you can do at any trade show. So Be the Stage.live, y'all.
Yeah. Thank you, Pablo. I really appreciate it. And everyone stay tuned for yet another one where we're going to dive in with Troy and talk about Dream 100 yet again, because we want you to make those 1 or even 2 relationships that could completely change your world. It doesn't have to always be 100. It could just be 1.
Make sure to get your copy or copies at theultimatesalesmachine.com. There's a lot of special bonuses that you can't get going to Amazon, so make sure you check it out at ultimatesalesmachine.com.